Hey guys, big cold front, high pressure system moved in last night. We had a big dip in nighttime air temps, and the rivers and lakes were giving off a lot of steam this morning. So what I've decided to do is to go fish known good spots where I know there's fish. You'll see there's some waypoints up here. I already have my trolling motor down. I have a custom map up there, and we're gonna go make precise casts with a really finesse type rig, a Neko rig today. You can see what I'm doing now as I approach. I'm just gonna pull up my trolling motor. So I'll get off the big motor and I'll hit spot lock, and then we're just gonna get up and start fishing. And I wanna stay off the spot, especially with fish that are in a bad mood. There he is. Nice one. Man, just a light pickup, holding on. That's the beauty of Neko rig and a soft plastic though. They grab it, they hold it, they'll eat it. So it's really forgiving on a day where, you know, you go throw a jig out there, it's just maybe too much hardware. And the thing is, on this particular spot, they cough a lot of little crayfish. You know, and you look at the crayfish anatomy, and oftentimes it's those little claws, you know, it's not big pinchers. So we downsize accordingly, and we fish a small crayfish plastic. It's a good fish. I'm going easy on them. I got pretty light line. You know, real finesse rig today. 8-pound fluorocarbon, 10-pound braid. An extremely thin diameter braid though. Big bass, little bait. There she is. That's the setup. Little Savage Gear 3D craw. We've done a bunch of underwater on that bait, and it's remarkably lifelike. So when you're trying to fool these guys, you know, big old quality bass on a community hole like that, sometimes it pays just to go with the utmost in realism, and that's what it produces sometimes. Let's let her go. Nice chunk. Sweet. So real quick, you can see what happens when you catch a fish with this setup. I have an O-ring on this craw, and it's small. It's a 3-inch Savage Gear 3D craw. You know, oftentimes fish are coughing pinchers about that big. That's a good indicator to fish a bait that size. And the nice thing is your standard O-ring fits perfectly right around the base, around the tail section. This is a VMC Half Moon Wacky weight. Slides perfectly up the little flat back end. I have the O-ring positioned pretty low on the body because I don't want that crayfish to be standing like this. If I put my pull point lower with that O-ring, that crayfish is going to be positioned a little bit more naturally like this. And I have a little tungsten nail weight in the nose as well, because this crayfish floats, which I like. When I pop it, it comes up like this and it settles back down. And now I'm just going to run that hook point up. And what that ensures is that that bait comes across the bottom with the hook point in that upward position. And it's not so much from a hooking percentage standpoint. I think you'll hook them with the hook point down too. But what that does is it keeps that hook point away from the rocks. This is a pretty rocky spot. Keeps it free from the grass a little bit better. So it just makes sense from a cover standpoint. And if there's some laydowns or brush piles out there, that shank kind of functions as a weed guard. You're gonna snag cover more if you run that hook point down. So I'm gonna also fish this on light line to minimize the resistance. This is a super tiny diameter braided line. This happens to be a Seagar Stealth in their gray color. And if you actually compare different braids and look at the diameter ratios, you'll see that this stuff is the smallest strength to diameter ratio out there. So that just helps get that bait down to the bottom as quick as possible too. And then I cast it out there. I'm dragging it. I'm not fishing it like I would a shaky head. I'm not even fishing this crayfish like I would a worm, where I'm doing that to get that tail, just doing that. I mean, a crayfish, if we have a lot of awesome underwater footage, you know, they're just kind of sitting there on the bottom, and they might walk around forward, or they might kick back a little bit, but there's not tons of movement and undulation with them. So I'm just trying to mimic that. You know, in a cold front or tough bite, less is more. Obviously, the Ned rig has shown us that, and this crayfish can essentially be like that too. You're just dragging it on the bottom in a real natural fashion, and it doesn't get much more natural than that. Boy, it just sticks them. I've been making that same cast over and over, and I just stick another one. But I've made that same cast like 5 times and didn't get bit, and I just got bit again. Yeah. Oh, this stuff is addicting. You can't deny the effectiveness of it. We've caught so many bass doing this when everything else has failed. We love to come in with a big crankbait and catch a few of them, but it's usually only good for a couple of them before the rest of the group catches on. But with this one, you can keep catching fish. It's not as invasive. This is a nice one here. You want sensitive stuff for this tactic, because I'm just feeling that bottom. I'm reading the bottom through that nail weight, and the pickups can be light. I mean, I have a nice combo here. This would be kind of a medium light equivalent. So I'm feeling, look at that. See that plastic way up on the line there? This is good for a lot of fish. I can catch a lot of fish on one of these plastics. Look at that big old one eye. Come on, buddy. Yeah, wow, cool. Plastic way up there. That Neko hook doing what it's designed to do, which is just lightly pinprick them. Super easy on the fish. Beautiful animal. And the nice thing with this spot is, you know, I have a bunch of rock down there, but once I find my lineup, I'll just make repeated casts with Humminbird 360 here. I know exactly where that rock is. You can see it's almost from 90 degrees over to 270 degrees. Wind's coming from this direction, and I'm just kind of casting behind the boat. I'm fan casting. If I get bit, I'm gonna go get on that same casting angle, so that last fish came back there. Some guys, if you're fishing forward down a bank, that you wanna maybe look just toward the front, and I would cut off the backside of the boat. But in this case, I'm offshore, so I like seeing a full 360. Beautiful rock there, you know, at about 5 o'clock behind the boat, another rock there, some good chunk rock there. You can see that bright, that all indicates my hard bottom, and here's my bottom transition zone. So I'm actually in hard bottom, and that's also shown here with the solid return on 2D sonar. And then in addition to that, I've custom mapped this with Auto Chart Live, because this lake doesn't have good mapping and you can see the tight contours, and I have elected to have bottom composition overlay on. And that's rock. I mean, the blue right there, that's the overlay on the hardest signatures, the hardest returns. So I know where the biggest rock is. There's a nice patch of rock right there. Got it, I see it right out here. And then all of this is showing up bright blue. I'm making pretty precise casts, and that gives me the confidence and the patience to fish this slow, which, you know, I wouldn't prefer doing, but on a tough bite, you know you're making high percentage casts on a good spot, and I could handle that. What do I got here? He's growing, I know that. I just saw the line jump, boop. Reeled down and had him. Look at that, walleye. That's a cool thing with crayfish too. You don't think of walleye as, you know, predators on crayfish, but they absolutely are. If you get in the boat with walleye pros, you know, in a tournament, and you look in there, you're gonna see tons of red shell, red claws, all that stuff. And again, this is proof of it, kind of the multi-species versatility of crayfish. Crayfish imitating baits. Not smooth. You usually net those guys. But you can see that right there, Neko hook. That's a size 2 VMC Neko hook, perfect in the corner of the mouth. And then that little Savage Gear 3D craw. Nice little fish, cool. I'll take those guys all day long mixed in with nice largemouth.